When the organizers of a new national dairy conference were looking for a location to launch their inaugural show, they chose Vermont. That's a nice nod to the mix of innovation and traditional practices that have always characterized Vermont dairy. We're talking to the organizers of the American Dairy Expo today on Across the Fence. Hello, Vermont. Nationally and even internationally, when folks talk about dairy geographically, the focus is on big production states like California, Wisconsin, Texas, or emerging regions in the West. What can be learned by centering Vermont and the Northeast in the dairy conversation? That's what my guest is determined to find out. Jordan Underhill is the director of the American Dairy Expo, kicking off tomorrow, November 5th, at the Champlain Valley Exposition Center in Essex Junction. In 2013, he founded the Canadian Dairy Expo that in 2024 was acquired by DLG, the German Agricultural Society. CDX provides the blueprint for ADX, which is brand new this year. Jordan Underhill, welcome.
Thanks for having me. We're excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, very excited to have you on here. Really excited to hear about a new farm show coming to our neck of the woods.
Yep.
It's going to be great. So I hear that you are cow crazy and that you have never left an auction with an empty trailer. So
Impossible.
Yeah, tell us about your background in dairy.
Yeah, so I actually grew up on a beef cash crop farm, and I still run 200 beef cows. But the region
in Canada.
In Canada,
Okay.
yeah, close to Guelph, Ontario, which most have heard about the Agricultural University in Guelph.
Okay.
But we grew up in a region that was diverse and progressive in dairy. So we did lots of custom work on dairy operations, and I always, as from a young child, had an admiration for the dairy industry and the pride and the family and the multi-generations behind the dairy operation. So that's really what inspired me to help the dairy industry.
Yeah, and I hear that because that's somewhat the mission. It was the mission of CDX. It's now been incorporated into ADX, which is this focus on the culture of dairy and of like working with cows. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's all about bringing international innovation to U.S. dairy producers to help them be more efficient and obviously in turn profitable, which is a part of sustainability or an important part. But yeah, that's the concept, is to bring international innovation to U.S. dairy producers and help multi-generations be sustainable and progressive.
Yeah, why is that part of it so important to you, the multi-generational?
That's the future, right?
Yeah.
Without the next generation, we're lost. We don't have anything. So so it's really important to make sure that the next generation sees the opportunity of the industry, embraces the pride behind it, and
learn some of the new innovations that can revolutionize what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It might make life a little bit easier. Yeah.
Well, and I think in dairy, that's kind of, it's always helpful when there is something that can remove some of the uncertainty, help a little bit with the planning, the workload, the chaos. Yeah, all of it. Okay. Well, so as you know, I mean, obviously, Vermont is a very different dairy state. We mentioned California, Wisconsin. I mean, these are, places with kind of mega dairy industry. And in Vermont, more like 73-ish% of our dairy is less than 200 cows. So how does this show fit into Vermont? Because you chose Vermont.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we chose the Northeast, and then we chose Vermont because of the venue and the vibrancy of the dairy operations here. And part of the misconception is that scale is not related to progressiveness of a dairy operation. You can have smaller scale operations that are very progressive, and if you look at the concentration of dairy operations in the Northeast between Vermont, Pennsylvania, New York, and even potentially pulling into Quebec, there's a very high concentration of dairy operations, very progressive dairy operations, and lots of processing as well. And we think it's underserviced. We think the Northeast has been underserviced from a dairy standpoint, and the perfect place to hold the first American Dairy Expo.
Yeah. I mean, certainly here in the Northeast, what we've experienced too has been the kind of the migration of dairy out west and the energy around dairy out west. So this is a big deal to have this conference, this trade show, coming and recentering us and the Northeast region in the conversation.
Yeah. Well, and they're family operations, which is the other cool part, right? It's they're 99% family operations in the Northeast, and I think that's important as well.
Yeah. So how do you see this benefiting, say, Vermont farmers specifically?
I mean, the access to innovation, the education piece, so there's an education piece tied into the show, and I think just getting together, both connecting with the industry, but also each other. As these dairy operations get bigger, they're leaving the farm less, and from a mental health standpoint and a learning standpoint, It's really important to get together, and it's a day off the farm to be educated and connect and socialize, and that's important as well.
It might be one of the main benefits, that opportunity to just be together, to have those types of conversations, which leads to connections, to collaborations, to cooperation. I like that you see that part of the conference.
Yeah, 7 days a week, so it's, you know, they need a break too.
Yeah. So is Vermont going to be ADX's permanent home?
Yes, that is the plan.
That's the plan, okay.
Yeah, we're here to stay.
Look at, I thought maybe that was going to be a stumper where he was going to like kind of wiggle or something. No. Okay, good.
No, we're actually already talking with the Champlain Valley Exposition Center about potential infrastructure upgrades to embrace the growth of the show and implement live cows and stuff. So yeah, we're planning 3 years out now.
Well, then tell us a little bit about selecting the Champlain Valley Expo Center too, because it's not just location. It's like what other attributes drew you to it? Yeah,
geographic location obviously is one. You want to be in the kind of heart of the concentration of dairy operations in the Northeast, but also the somewhat rural location of it. Dairy farmers are very time sensitive. Of course, they're milking 2 or 3 times a day. So you can't have it in a major city where they could get hung up with traffic. So the Champlain Valley Exposition Center is perfect. You got, you know, Burlington supporting it with restaurants and hotels for the companies that are exhibiting and sponsoring, and it's easy to get in and out for farmers, which is key.
So basically you discovered what we've always known, which is it's a pretty amazing location. Burlington is pretty well situated.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. And I hear too that when you were scouting for a location for a minute, there was some conversation with UVM.
Yeah, we looked at, of course, all options in and around Burlington. We always like looking at, you know, education platforms such as the University of Vermont, but the challenge is always when school's in, those venues are occupied. So this was perfect to have it close to the university, tie in Cream. We actually did the launch of the show, the media launch, the year before, of course, last year, and we did that at Cream.
Yeah, big Cream. We're big fans of the Cream program here. My daughter is a creamer, so I love that program. Dr. W, again, you know, absolute friend of the show, and I know that he has been tremendously excited about this. I think because of the way that the show is going to integrate some of those students. So again, next generation dairy, you know, kids who are in the, you know, their cow curious phase, they're figuring out what their paths might look like. Tell us some of the ways that UVM students is going to be involved.
Yeah, they're actually going to be helping at the front gate, so they're going to be kind of the face of the show as farmers come in, which is pretty cool. And they're also going to be helping with surveys because we want to collect as much data as we can to make the show better year over year, incrementally better. That's the idea. So they're going to be on site as well as FFA and 4-H to make sure that we have that culture and the youth engaged. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a multi-generational experience.
Has to be.
And then you've got folks from UVM Extension who are also participating on the education track.
Yeah, so we have a Dairy Delivers Classroom, which is supported by Vermont Agricultural Department and also the Progressive Dairy Group out of Wisconsin. So we basically kind of put that program over to them so it could be independent, and both days are independent education, and everything from lameness to succession planning to even Elle St. Pierre, the famous runner from Vermont here that's milking cows as well, and a mom. I don't know how she does it all, but she'll be there first thing in the morning.
She's a dairy farm. I mean, it's, you know, it's like that you figure it out.
She's tough.
Yeah, she's tough.
So she'll be talking about the pride in the industry and resilience and all that.
Yeah. Well, how did you decide what subjects to tackle on that education track?
We basically, again, turned it to them because we wanted it to be independent and not influenced by us, and we knew that they had the best heartbeat on what needed to be covered. So, you know, them connecting with the companies involved in the show to find out who's out there and what the hot topics are, basically is how that came together.
I noticed that you mentioned it, and I noticed that there was that session on transitional, like the dairy transition. And I thought that's really fantastic. It's going to connect very well with our audience here in Vermont. This is a big topic. It's something that our dairy industry is thinking a lot about. Is that, you know, I mean, your experience in Canada, same?
Very similar. I mean, it's a challenge. It's a wonderful thing when you're turning over an operation to the next generation, but it's a challenge because of the equity that's involved in the operation. So you really need to start it way out from when it actually happens, like, you know, 5 to 10 years. So, you know, the earlier we can get families talking about it and connecting them with experts in the category, it becomes complex, right? The kids get married and have kids themselves, and so just figuring out the proper transition for the equity in the operation is really important.
Also, I am a chef. So when I think of ingredients when I think of products. I think, so I think, I hear dairy and I think of all the things that can be made with dairy. And I love that a part of the show is the Dairy Fest. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, the commodity of milk to me, is an amazing commodity. It tastes amazing, whether it's milk, cheese, yogurt, and it's also good for you. And often things that are good for you don't taste great. And that's what I love about the dairy commodity. So we want to celebrate that. And in what we call Dairy Fest, and that's the first night at 4 o'clock. It starts, it's totally free to attend, and it's also open to the general public in Burlington. And the idea is to get a mix of producers, industry, and also consumers coming together to talk about the commodity of dairy. So there'll be complimentary ice cream, yogurt, milk, of course, grilled cheese, and just celebrating the industry.
So sounds like even if you are not coming to fully participate in the trade show, this is a cool night out. Opportunity to bring the kids, see some cool stuff, and pick up a milkshake.
Yep, live band.
Live band.
Yeah,
who's making these grilled cheese?
4-H. Okay. So with our Canadian event, it's become the largest national fundraiser for 4-H, doing milkshakes and grilled cheese at the show. And of course, that's a really important part of the culture behind the event, is serving the commodity, and then if you can add the youth in there as a fundraiser. So we basically turn the food over to them, and they'll have, I think they're going to have 10 clubs at least there preparing Vermont grilled cheese sandwiches and chocolate milkshakes.
Do you have any favorite additions to a grilled cheese sandwich, or are you a classic guy?
I would say any cheese on bread is good with me. I think
sourdough, white bread, wheat bread.
I mean,
these are important questions. These are all the subtle nuances of how does one person like their grilled cheese. And do you dip it in ketchup?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I think I've had a Vermont cheese platter the last 5 nights in a row. So anything cheese on any bread is good with me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. So you've been enjoying your time in Burlington, getting ready for the show.
Definitely.
All right. Final thoughts. Tickets, etc. We're going to put up ticket information here in a second. Any quick closing thoughts about the conference, about the show?
Yeah, you can pre-buy tickets on AmericanDairyExpo.com. You can buy them at the gate as well. But I would just encourage everybody to come out and see what it's all about. It's a celebration of the dairy industry. There's education, there's innovation, there's socializing, there's the celebration of the commodity. And there's a spectacular dairy industry in the U.S. and I think specifically in the Northeast. And I think anything we can do to showcase that and help them is all good. So.
Thank you. Love it. Love that you're doing this. Wonderful to have you here today. The very first American Dairy Expo starts tomorrow, runs November 5th and 6th at the Champlain Valley Exposition Center in Essex Junction. Tickets and the full schedule of events and exhibitors are available online at the address there on the screen. Wishing you the very best for the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, can't wait to come out and see you. As always, Vermont, thank you for learning and exploring with me today, and thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.